Hello and welcome back to Minsi Motivi On, where science meets motivation to transform your life from the inside out. Today, I'm about to share something truly game-changing, how you can rewire your brain in just 30 days using 5 powerful, science-based habits. These aren't just random tips, they're proven strategies rooted in neuroscience that can literally reshape the way your brain functions, boosting your focus, reducing stress, igniting motivation, and rewiring your mindset for success. If you've ever felt stuck, overwhelmed, or like your brain is holding you back from your goals, this episode is made for you. Because the truth is, lasting change isn't about willpower alone. It's about hacking your brain's wiring so that your habits and mindset work for you, not against you. So get ready to discover how simple, consistent changes can transform your mental landscape in just 30 days, unlocking a new level of clarity, drive, and unstoppable momentum. Let's dive in and start rewiring your brain today. When we talk about rewiring your brain, what we're really diving into is the incredible power of your brain's ability to change, something that scientists call neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity means your brain is not a fixed, unchangeable organ, but a dynamic system that constantly adapts, remodels, and grows based on your experiences, your habits, your thoughts, and your environment. This isn't just a vague idea or some hopeful metaphor. This is a scientific fact, one of the most powerful truths about the human brain. You see, the brain is made up of billions of neurons, specialized cells that communicate through connections called synapses. These synapses are like tiny bridges between neurons, and they are constantly being formed, strengthened, weakened, or pruned away depending on how you use your brain. When you practice a habit, think a thought, or feel an emotion repeatedly, you strengthen the synapses associated with that pattern. It's a classic principle that neurons that fire together wire together. Conversely, pathways that you neglect or actively work against tend to weaken over time. This is why the idea of rewiring your brain in 30 days is both scientifically plausible and incredibly empowering. 30 days of intentional habit formation and mental focus is enough to start creating new neural pathways that can shift your mindset, reduce anxiety, improve focus, and reshape how you respond to stress or challenge. It's a process that happens gradually but consistently, a day-by-day transformation of your brain's wiring. Now, the question that often comes up is, how exactly does this happen? How do 30 days of habits physically alter the structure or function of your brain? And what habits are most effective to target this process? First, let's consider what's happening at the cellular level. When you engage in new behaviors or thought patterns, your neurons in the relevant brain regions become more active. This activity leads to changes in gene expression inside those neurons, essentially turning certain genes on or off to produce proteins that strengthen the connections. One important molecule involved in this process is called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF. BDNF acts like a fertilizer for your neurons, promoting the growth of new dendrites, the branch like extensions of neurons that receive signals, and facilitating the formation of new synapses. The more you activate a neural circuit, the more BDNF supports its growth and stabilization. This is why practice and repetition are so critical. Whether you're practicing mindfulness to reduce anxiety, learning a new skill, or developing a positive mental habit like gratitude, the consistent activation of those circuits encourages your brain to rewire itself around these new patterns. Equally important is the role of synaptic pruning, your brain's way of removing unnecessary or unused connections. When you reduce negative habits or thought patterns, the neural pathways associated with those patterns get less activation and gradually weaken. Over time, this means that you can diminish the impact of old harmful mental loops, those self-doubts, worries, or reactive impulses that once seemed so entrenched. In this way, neuroplasticity is not just about adding new pathways, it's also about subtracting the old ones that no longer serve you. It's a two-way street: grow the beneficial connections and prune the detrimental ones. From a practical perspective, the way you engage your brain during these 30 days makes all the difference. Passive hope or vague intentions aren't enough. You need focused, intentional action that challenges your brain to adapt. This is why specific, science-backed habits become your tools for rewiring. One key habit is awareness, bringing conscious attention to the thoughts and behaviors you want to change. When you notice a negative thought or a limiting belief, you create a moment of awareness. This moment interrupts automatic neural firing patterns and opens a window to choose a different response. Awareness is the first step in rewiring because it allows you to engage the prefrontal cortex, the brain's executive center responsible for decision making and self-control. When you consciously shift your focus away from negativity or distraction and toward more constructive or empowering thoughts, you begin activating different neural circuits. This deliberate redirection is what strengthens new pathways and weakens old ones. Now, this isn't easy. Our brains have evolved to favor familiar patterns because they're efficient. The brain conserves energy by reusing existing pathways rather than forging new ones. This is why habits are so sticky. But what science shows is that the brain also craves novelty and challenge. When you consistently expose yourself to new ways of thinking and behaving, even small shifts, your brain responds by rewiring to accommodate this change. Over 30 days, the neural changes become more robust. The repeated practice helps the new pathways stabilize, so the new habits feel more natural and less effortful. This is the essence of habit formation. What was once deliberate and challenging becomes second nature. Importantly, these neural changes extend beyond just your thoughts. Your brain and body are deeply interconnected. When you change your mental patterns, you influence your emotional responses and even your physical state. For example, reducing stress through cognitive reframing or mindfulness not only changes your brain circuits, but also lowers your body's stress hormones like cortisol. This creates a positive feedback loop that supports further neuroplasticity and emotional balance. What this means is that rewiring your brain is a holistic process. It's not just about thinking differently, it's about embodying those changes in your feelings, your reactions, and your behaviors. Another fascinating aspect is that neuroplasticity is active throughout life. Even if you feel stuck or set in your ways, your brain still has the capacity to change. This means the power to rewire is always within your reach, no matter your age or background. Of course, the quality of your input matters. Surround yourself with positive influences, consume uplifting information, and engage in meaningful conversations. All these external factors feed your brain the experiences it needs to strengthen beneficial circuits. Equally, practice self-compassion. Change is a process, and there will be setbacks. When you meet challenges with kindness rather than harsh judgment, you reduce the activation of threat circuits in the brain, making it easier to maintain your new habits. Remember, 30 days is a starting point, enough to initiate meaningful neural changes, but ongoing practice ensures those changes become lasting. The brain's wiring is dynamic, so continued reinforcement helps you build resilience and adaptability over the long term. This also explains why combining multiple science-based habits like morning light exposure, breathwork movement, journaling, and prioritizing sleep is so effective. Each of these habits activates different brain regions and circuits, creating a more comprehensive rewiring effect. Together, they support mental clarity, emotional regulation, and cognitive flexibility. So, as you embark on this 30-day journey, know that each small choice matters. Every time you practice awareness, redirect your thoughts, take a deep breath, move your body, or rest well, you're physically reshaping your brain. This is not abstract. It's a biological reality that empowers you to become the architect of your own mind. In the coming days and weeks, you'll begin to notice subtle shifts, less reactivity, more calm, greater focus. These are signs that your brain is rewiring. Celebrate these wins, no matter how small. They are proof of your brain's incredible ability to adapt and grow. And the best part is this rewiring sets the stage for all the other habits you'll build. Once you establish a foundation of positive neural pathways, it becomes easier to integrate new behaviors and reach higher levels of mental and emotional wellness. Your brain is not your destiny. It's your greatest tool for transformation. By leveraging neuroplasticity through intentional practice over the next 30 days, you unlock the power to change your thoughts, your feelings, and ultimately your life. So commit to this process. Show up for yourself every day. Rewire your brain with these habits and step into the life you were meant to live. When we begin to talk about rewiring the brain, one of the most foundational habits you can adopt to create lasting change starts right at the beginning of your day, with light. This isn't just any light, but the natural light of the morning. The science behind this is fascinating and transformative because it taps directly into how your brain and body keep time, how they regulate everything from your mood to your metabolism to your cognitive function. Our brains operate on a roughly 24-hour cycle called the circadian rhythm. This internal clock influences when we feel alert, when we feel sleepy, how well we process information, and even when our body repairs itself. Think of it as the master timer for your physiology. The most powerful cue for setting this clock is light, specifically the quality and timing of the light that reaches your eyes. Now, here's the remarkable part. Exposing your eyes to natural light within the first hour of waking sends a clear and strong signal to a tiny but critical part of your brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, located in the hypothalamus. This little nucleus is essentially your brain's timekeeper. It responds primarily to light signals and adjusts your body's internal rhythms accordingly. When you get that morning light, the suprachiasmatic nucleus tells your brain it's daytime. This sets off a cascade of physiological effects. It helps suppress melatonin, the hormone that makes you sleepy, and it promotes alertness. This timing mechanism not only helps you feel awake and focused during the day, but also primes your body to wind down and prepare for restful sleep come evening. You might wonder why this matters so much for rewiring your brain. The answer lies in how your circadian rhythm affects the production of important neurotransmitters and hormones that influence mood, cognition, and overall brain health. For example, serotonin, often called the feel-good neurotransmitter, is regulated by light exposure. Serotonin is critical for mood stability, motivation, and focus, and its production is stimulated by early daylight. Without adequate morning light, serotonin levels can drop, which may contribute to feelings of low mood or brain fog. Moreover, this morning light exposure helps regulate cortisol, your body's primary stress hormone. Cortisol naturally rises in the morning to help you wake up, focus, and handle the demands of the day. The timing and amount of light you receive fine-tune this cortisol rhythm. When this rhythm is disrupted, for instance, by not getting natural light in the morning, your cortisol levels can become imbalanced, leading to increased stress, fatigue, and impaired cognitive function. All of this tells us that something as simple as stepping outside or near a window for 10 to 15 minutes after waking can have a profound impact on the biochemistry of your brain and body. It's a foundational habit that primes your neural circuits for focus, learning, and emotional regulation throughout the day. There's also another fascinating layer to this: the quality of light matters. Natural sunlight contains a broad spectrum of wavelengths, including blue light, which is particularly effective at signaling your circadian clock. Blue light is abundant during the morning hours and diminishes as the sun sets, aligning perfectly with the needs of your brain to be alert during the day and relaxed at night. Contrast this with artificial light from screens or indoor lighting, which can disrupt your internal clock when you get exposed to it at the wrong times, especially in the evening. But in the morning, the natural blue, rich light is a powerful ally in resetting your brain's daily rhythm. Now, let's talk about how this habit helps you rewire your brain in practical terms. By establishing a consistent morning light exposure routine, you're training your brain to anticipate and prepare for the day ahead. This consistency strengthens the neural circuits related to alertness and attention. It essentially programs your brain to operate optimally within a regular rhythm, which boosts cognitive performance and emotional stability. Imagine waking up and your brain immediately gets a clear signal that it's time to be awake, focused, and engaged. This allows you to start your day with sharper concentration, improved memory formation, and enhanced decision-making abilities. You become less reactive to stress because your body's hormonal rhythms are balanced, supporting better emotional control. This balance is critical for neuroplasticity itself because the brain rewires more effectively when it is in an optimal state, alert but calm, ready to learn and adapt. Poor circadian regulation, by contrast, can impair learning and memory, slow down reaction times, and increase vulnerability to anxiety and depression. So by simply sensing your brain's internal clock with natural light, you're laying the groundwork for all the other brain-changing habits you want to build. For those of you who might live in environments with limited sunlight during the winter months or find it difficult to get outside in the morning, there's good news. You can use a light therapy lamp that mimics natural sunlight, providing the necessary wavelengths to trigger your brain's timekeeper. The key is timing. This light should be used within the first hour after waking for about 10 to 15 minutes. This simulates the effects of natural morning light and helps maintain your circadian rhythm. Consistency is absolutely critical here. It's not enough to do this sporadically. The brain's timing system thrives on regularity. Over days and weeks, your brain becomes more finely tuned to these signals, and your internal clock becomes more stable. This stability translates to better sleep at night, which we'll discuss more in another habit. But for now, understand that this cycle of light exposure and rest is fundamental to how your brain rewires itself. It's also worth noting how morning light exposure interacts with the brain's reward systems. When your circadian rhythm is properly aligned, your dopamine system, which is responsible for motivation, reward, and pleasure, functions more efficiently. This means that you're more likely to feel motivated to engage in other positive habits, whether it's exercise, meditation, or focused work. In this way, morning light exposure is like a keystone habit, a foundational behavior that sets off a positive chain reaction throughout your day. Furthermore, this habit also has significant implications for mental health. Research has shown that disruptions in circadian rhythms are linked to mood disorders such as depression and anxiety. By ensuring you get regular morning light exposure, you're supporting your brain's natural rhythms, which helps stabilize mood and reduce symptoms of these disorders. In fact, light therapy is a clinically recognized treatment for seasonal affective disorder, SAD, a type of depression linked to reduced sunlight exposure. So, what does this all mean for rewiring your brain? It means that the simple act of morning light exposure is one of the most powerful tools at your disposal. It primes your brain to be alert and engaged, supports the production of key neurotransmitters, balances stress hormones, stabilizes mood, and enhances motivation. And over time, as you consistently expose yourself to morning light, your brain circuits involved in these functions become stronger and more efficient. This strengthening is the essence of rewiring. By aligning your internal clock daily, you create a reliable foundation for learning, focus, emotional regulation, and resilience. Your brain becomes better equipped to handle challenges and adapt to new information. And the best part? This habit is accessible to everyone. You don't need special equipment or hours of time, just a few minutes outside or near a bright window. The key is to make it a non-negotiable part of your morning routine. Over the next 30 days, commit to this practice. Make it consistent. Let your brain experience the power of natural light every morning. As this becomes a ritual, you'll start noticing changes. You'll wake up feeling more refreshed, your mind clearer, your mood steadier. You'll find it easier to concentrate and less prone to mental fatigue. These are the subtle but profound signs that your brain is rewiring itself to operate in harmony with its natural rhythms. Remember, rewiring is a process. It's not about instant transformation, but steady, meaningful progress. Each morning's light exposure sends a signal deep within your brain, reinforcing the neural pathways that support alertness, balance, and well-being. So when you think about changing your brain in 30 days, start here. With the morning light, let it be your brain's daily reset button, its natural cue to engage, focus, and thrive. One of the most profound ways to rewire your brain, especially within a time frame like 30 days, involves engaging two incredibly powerful tools your body and brain already possess: your breath and your movement. These two forces, often overlooked or taken for granted, have a direct and immediate influence on your brain's wiring, affecting your stress levels, your focus, and your capacity for calm. They're accessible, they're science-backed, and they are among the fastest ways to change how your brain feels and functions. Let's start with breath. Breathing is unique because it is both an automatic process and one that you can consciously control. This gives you a direct line to influence your nervous system, specifically the balance between your sympathetic nervous system, which governs fight or flight responses, and your parasympathetic nervous system, which promotes rest, relaxation, and recovery. When you are stressed or anxious, your breathing pattern tends to become shallow and rapid. This breathing pattern sends signals to your brain that you are in danger, activating areas like the amygdala, which governs fear and threat responses. This triggers a cascade of stress hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline, which prepare your body for immediate action, but when chronically activated, can impair your brain's ability to focus, learn, and rewire itself effectively. However, by practicing controlled, intentional breathing, you can activate the parasympathetic nervous system, calming the brain's threat centers and encouraging a state of relaxation. One particularly effective method is to slow down your breath, elongate your exhales, and bring awareness to the rhythm of your breathing. Scientific studies have shown that even just a few minutes of deep, slow breathing can decrease activity in the amygdala, reduce cortisol levels, and increase the release of neurotransmitters like GABA, which have calming effects on the brain. But it's not just about calming your nervous system. Breathwork can actually enhance your brain's plasticity, its ability to form new connections. When you're calm and focused, your brain releases brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, a protein essential for neuroplasticity. This means that when you use your breath to reduce stress and bring your mind into the present moment, you're creating the optimal conditions for your brain to learn, adapt, and rewire. Breathwork also influences your brain's oxygen supply. As you breathe deeply, you increase the oxygen available to your brain cells, which is vital for their function and survival. This boost in oxygen improves mental clarity, energy levels, and cognitive performance. Think of it like tuning up your brain's engine. Better oxygen flow means better performance. Now, coupling breathwork with movement magnifies these effects. Movement is one of the most powerful ways to change your brain's wiring because it activates multiple brain regions simultaneously. When you move, you stimulate your motor cortex, sensory areas, and importantly, your hippocampus, the brain's center for memory and learning. Movement also triggers the release of a cocktail of brain chemicals including dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, and BDNF. These chemicals not only improve your mood and motivation, but also enhance neuroplasticity. You don't need to run a marathon or lift heavy weights to get these benefits. Simple, consistent daily movement, even a brisk 20 to 30-minute walk, profoundly impacts your brain. Walking outdoors can be even more powerful because it combines movement with exposure to natural light, which, as we discussed, regulates your circadian rhythm. When you engage your body in movement, you increase blood flow to the brain, delivering more oxygen and nutrients while removing waste products. This improved circulation supports the health of brain cells and the formation of new neural connections. Movement also helps regulate stress hormones and promotes the growth of new neurons in the hippocampus, a process known as neurogenesis. There is also a crucial interaction between movement and breath. When you move mindfully, paying attention to your breath and the sensations in your body, you cultivate a state of focused awareness that enhances brain function. This mindful movement can be as simple as a gentle yoga session, tai chi, or deliberate stretching combined with deep breathing. This practice trains your brain to stay present, reducing the tendency to ruminate on past worries or future anxieties. For many, the combination of breath and movement forms a foundation for meditation practices that have been scientifically validated to rewire the brain. Meditation increases gray matter density in areas responsible for emotional regulation, attention, and self-awareness. But you don't have to sit still for hours. Active meditation through breath-focused movement provides similar benefits and can feel more accessible. As you practice these habits daily over 30 days, you will start to notice that your stress responses become less reactive. Instead of your brain jumping into fight or flight mode at the slightest trigger, you develop a more balanced, flexible nervous system. This flexibility is a hallmark of a well-wired brain, one that can adapt quickly, learn efficiently, and maintain emotional stability. You'll also find that your ability to focus improves. Breath and movement regulate the balance between the brain's default mode network, which is active when your mind wanders, and the executive control network, which governs attention and goal-directed behavior. Strengthening this balance is essential for learning and productivity, and it's something you cultivate by simply breathing deeply and moving your body every day. There's an important social dimension too. When you're less stressed and more focused, your interactions with others improve. The brain's social networks, including areas that process empathy and connection, function better when the nervous system is calm and regulated. This means that breath and movement not only rewire your brain for personal growth, but also enhance your ability to build positive relationships. In practical terms, incorporating these habits might look like setting aside dedicated time each morning or evening for a short breathwork session followed by mindful movement. You can start with as little as 5 minutes of deep breathing, inhaling slowly through your nose, holding briefly, then exhaling longer through your mouth. Follow this with a gentle walk, stretching routine, or yoga flow, focusing on the sensations in your body and your breath. The beauty of these practices is that they can be done anywhere, anytime. They require no special equipment and are scalable to your lifestyle. And importantly, they provide immediate feedback. You can feel your nervous system calm, your mind sharpen, your mood lift. These are signs that your brain is rewiring in real time. Over the 30 days, these small but consistent practices accumulate, leading to more profound changes. Your brain starts to shift from patterns dominated by stress and distraction to patterns characterized by calm and clarity. You develop resilience, the ability to bounce back from challenges without being overwhelmed. This resilience is key to sustaining the rewiring process, because as your brain changes, it encounters challenges, old habits, stressors, distractions that might try to pull you back. But with breath and movement as your anchors, you cultivate a steady state of readiness and calm that allows you to stay on course. So as you think about rewiring your brain, remember that you have powerful tools at your disposal built right into your body. Your breath and your movement are not just physical acts, they are brain acts. They engage your nervous system, regulate your hormones, stimulate neuroplasticity, and create the internal environment your brain needs to change. Embrace them, practice them daily, and watch how they transform not only your brain, but your entire experience of life. Let's now turn to another essential habit that has an incredible impact on your brain's ability to rewire itself, the power of intentional high-quality sleep. Sleep is often undervalued, yet it is one of the most fundamental pillars of brain health and neuroplasticity. Without it, all the other efforts you make to change your brain's wiring will fall short. Sleep is not just rest, it is an active process of repair, consolidation, and rejuvenation. And by understanding and optimizing your sleep, you can accelerate how your brain adapts and grows. When we think about rewiring the brain, it's easy to focus on what we do while we are awake, learning new skills, practicing habits, engaging in mental challenges. But it's during sleep that much of the magic happens. During sleep, your brain consolidates memories, processes emotions, clears out toxins, and strengthens the neural connections you've formed throughout the day. One of the key mechanisms at work is something called synaptic plasticity. When you learn or experience something new, your brain forms new connections, or synapses, between neurons. But these connections aren't permanent right away. Sleep plays a crucial role in selectively strengthening the important connections while pruning the less useful ones, optimizing your brain's network for efficiency and performance. Without sufficient sleep, this process becomes impaired and your brain's ability to adapt and change decreases. The architecture of sleep is made up of several cycles that include both non-REM and REM stages. Each stage plays a distinct role in brain function and rewiring. Non-REM sleep, especially the deep slow wave sleep phase, is critical for physical restoration and for consolidating declarative memories, things like facts, names, and events. REM sleep, often associated with dreaming, is essential for emotional processing and procedural memory, skills like riding a bike or playing an instrument. When you prioritize getting enough high-quality sleep each night, ideally 7 to 9 hours, you're giving your brain repeated opportunities to cycle through these stages and complete the essential processes that support neuroplasticity. Poor sleep or sleep deprivation, on the other hand, disrupts these cycles, leading to impaired memory, reduced learning capacity, and emotional dysregulation. There's a powerful connection between sleep and the brain's waste clearance system called the glymphatic system. This system is active primarily during sleep and functions to remove metabolic waste products that accumulate during waking hours, including beta amyloid proteins linked to neurodegenerative diseases. If you skimp on sleep, this clearance process is compromised, potentially increasing the risk of cognitive decline over time. Beyond the biological processes, sleep also influences the balance of neurotransmitters and hormones that shape your brain's plasticity. For example, during sleep, the brain modulates levels of acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter involved in attention and learning, and regulates cortisol, the stress hormone. Proper sleep keeps cortisol rhythms balanced, reducing stress and promoting a calm, focused brain state conducive to learning. Creating the right conditions for quality sleep involves more than just time in bed. It requires intentional lifestyle choices that support your brain's natural rhythms. First, consistent timing is crucial. Going to bed and waking up at the same time every day helps anchor your circadian rhythm, enhancing the quality of your sleep cycles. Irregular sleep schedules confuse your brain's internal clock and impair the restorative functions of sleep. Second, managing exposure to light in the evening is vital. Remember how morning light sets your circadian rhythm. Evening light, especially the blue wavelengths emitted by screens and artificial lighting, can delay the production of melatonin, the hormone that signals your body to prepare for sleep. This delay shifts your sleep timing later and fragments your sleep cycles. So, limiting screen time or using blue light blocking glasses in the hours before bedtime supports melatonin production and better sleep quality. Another key factor is creating a sleep-friendly environment. Your bedroom should be cool, dark, and quiet. Darkness is a strong cue for melatonin release, so blackout curtains or an eye mask can be incredibly helpful. Eliminating noise or using white noise machines or earplugs can prevent sleep interruptions. These environmental factors help your brain enter the deeper stages of sleep more easily. Physical activity during the day also improves sleep, as long as it's not too close to bedtime. Movement helps regulate your body temperature and stress hormones, both of which are important for falling asleep and maintaining deep sleep. Dietary habits influence sleep as well. Avoiding caffeine and heavy meals in the late afternoon and evening supports smoother sleep onset. Alcohol, while it might help you fall asleep initially, disrupts REM sleep and leads to poorer sleep quality overall. There are also practices that can help calm the mind before sleep. Techniques like deep breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, or mindfulness meditation can reduce the mental chatter that keeps the brain in a heightened state, making it easier to fall asleep and transition into restorative cycles. One of the most powerful aspects of prioritizing quality sleep in the context of brain rewiring is how it enhances learning and memory consolidation. Imagine you spend the day practicing a new skill or forming a new habit. Without sleep, much of that effort is lost or less effective. But with good sleep, your brain actively integrates those new experiences into stable memory networks, making the changes more permanent. In this way, sleep is the final piece of the puzzle in rewiring your brain. It's the bridge between practice and mastery. The habits you want to build, the new ways of thinking you want to adopt depend on your brain's ability to consolidate and integrate those changes during sleep. The emotional regulation supported by sleep cannot be overstated. A well-rested brain handles stress and emotional challenges with greater resilience. This emotional balance is critical when rewiring your brain because stress and anxiety can block neuroplasticity and keep you stuck in old patterns. In practical terms, commit to protecting your sleep over the next 30 days. Set a consistent bedtime and wake up time, create a dark and cool sleep environment, and develop a calming pre-sleep routine that prepares your brain for rest. Monitor your exposure to light in the evening and avoid stimulants that disrupt sleep. As you do this, you'll notice your mental clarity sharpen, your emotional stability improve, and your ability to learn new information and break old habits accelerate. Your brain becomes primed to rewire more efficiently, making all the other science-based habits we've discussed more effective. Remember, sleep isn't a luxury or a passive state. It's an active, dynamic process essential to the very architecture of your brain. By harnessing the power of high-quality sleep, you unlock your brain's full potential to change, adapt, and thrive. Thank you.